It was really interesting that man knows almost everything about the internet and technology, so just getting the insight from him was just really great. But yeah, it was quite tense in the beginning, but yeah.
Looking for a better way to get up out of bed instead of getting on the internet and checking a new hit me get up.
I've been here for a year now. This is the second year going, right? Yeah.
Yes.
It's been really great. I met a BFF right here, Nikhil Ramlao. So the people are really wonderful. I really love the time here.
My name is Nikhil Ramlao and I'm a product manager at Internet Solutions.
My name is Wendy Shabalala. I'm a client liaison in Dimension Data Public Sector.
This is the moment, tonight is the night. We'll fight till it's over, so we put our hands up like the ceiling can't hold us. Like the ceiling can't hold us.
Good morning.
Such a pleasure to be here today. My name is Nikhil and I'm a product manager at Internet Solutions.
Morning, Andile. My name is Wendy Shabalala, and then I'm the client liaison in the public sector space at Dimension Data.
Nice meeting you, Shane.
I'll start. With the Mobile Congress that you attended a few weeks ago, there were like cutting edge technologies and products. How do you think the uptake will be in South Africa?
That was I think in all the Mobile World Congress events I've attended over the last 15 years or so, why this, in my view, was much more funkier, cooler, it's because it had in it a hackathon. And it also had a lot of, there's Hall 8, which is the hall where mobile applications are. There are other halls which are, where your big manufacturers are. They show you heavy equipment, and all that. But the hall, when you look at the traffic of people, there were 80,000 people there. The bulk of the people, in particular young people, they go to Hall 8. These halls are big. I mean, probably one hall would be the size of, Sandton Convention Center, one hall. Not, just one, the entire Sandton Convention Center. So these are very big halls. So 80,000 people attended Mobile World Congress. What is fascinating is, one, the fact that if you compare Mobile World Congress 15 years ago, people talked about the phones, how good are the phones. These were feature phones. I mean, today, people talk about over-the-top services. People talk about mobile applications. People talk about so many different things. So it's even cooler. I mean, now you have young people. They now run a hackathon, I think which was funded partly by Intel and others, whereby young people come and code and develop different types of products. And these are products that run on mobile devices. They run on Android, they run on Apple OS, they run on, simple web using HTML5. They run on mobile apps, on direct mobile applications, or they run on web-based applications. And therefore, the world of mobile is becoming very dynamic, and I think it's a very interesting place to be.
Thank you. The credit card size $25 Raspberry Pi has been creating a lot of headlines recently. So my question to you is, what can you say regarding the uptake of such a device in Africa? Interestingly,
that, we are running a competition at Nelson Mandela University. I think we gave them 20 Raspberry Pis, and this is sometime early this year, late last year. And the competition is going to be, the results will come in September as to who is going to develop the best product out of Raspberry Pi. I'm a great believer of Raspberry Pi. I am of the view that every home, every school, every person must have this device. Every young person must have a Raspberry Pi. We'll show it here as part of the video just to show what a Raspberry Pi is and how it looks like and how cheap it is. It's about 300, 400 Rand. And you have a computer. You can do anything with it.
This is a Raspberry Pi. It's a credit card-sized computer that costs around £25, designed to teach young people to program, and is capable of doing all kinds of wonderful things. Back in the 80s, kids had to learn how to code computers to use them, and as a result, these kids grew up with an inbuilt understanding of how computers work. Now, we need more programmers than ever before. So to deal with this problem, some clever people came up with the Raspberry Pi to reignite the spark. It runs Linux, a free operating system from an SD card, just like the one in your digital camera, and it's powered by a USB phone charger. You just plug in a mouse and a keyboard, connect it to a TV or monitor, and you're ready to go. In schools, not only is Raspberry Pi a great way to learn programming skills as part of ICT, there are also dozens of cross-curricular applications like science and music. And all over the world, people are experimenting with Raspberry Pis and attending Raspberry Jam events, where people of all ages are learning what can be done with a Raspberry Pi. Since the first Raspberry Pi was shipped, we've seen examples of people using the Pi in a variety of amazing and interesting projects, taking advantage of its size, portability, cost, programmability, and connectability. So whether you want to learn to make games, build robots, or even teach a bear to parachute, with Raspberry Pi, the sky's the limit.
Thanks to Diego and Deezmaker and the MIT Club for having me. It's really cool to teach another class here. My business is built on open source, and a lot of businesses also too. Arduino is a mini computer that you can program. So it's about the size of a credit card. It's really easy to use, and so lots of kids can program it. Next is a trimmer potentiometer, and so that's basically just a smaller version of a potentiometer.
I think really we didn't get it.
Yeah. Yeah, we really don't know. We didn't really know what he was doing at the time.
Here's one of the projects that I've made. It's called the Fuzzbot. I've done the Fuzzbot, which is an Arduino-based robot platform that has an ultrasonic distance sensor, so it can detect if there's like a wall in front of it or a hand in front of it, and also has a Swiffer duster on the back, so it can dust around your house while avoiding the obstacles. So first is the USB. That's where you connected it to your computer.
For his birthday, we went to class, and he started drawing this little crowd of all of the teachers, and there's this little guy right in the middle and all these engineers standing around him, and they're like, oh, that is so cool, you know, no one's ever done that before. Oh, you should sell that. Oh, we're like, wow, that's when we realized, oh, maybe he is doing something that
that's unusual.
That's unusual, yeah.
So this is the gas cap, and so it's an LED hat that has a fart sensor. So this is the Altoids Mini Tin. It has a XB, which is a wireless module, a little switch and an LED, and the fart sensor. So when you fart into the little Altoids tin, then it displays how bad it was on the hat in methane concentrations. So batteries have a positive and a negative, and if you reverse it, it'll short circuit, or maybe it'll blow up, or maybe it'll heat up really hot. It's really good to make sure it's in the right way.
Today we have Quinn teaching an Arduino class. It got sold out a few weeks before the class, so yeah, he's very popular and very in demand.
So it should be something like a TTY.USB modem.
He's very good for a 12-year-old teacher, I think, and he's probably better than some professors that I've had in terms of his ability to speak and convey information.
Your Arduino Leonardo on... I want to be like an educator and a UX designer, like a user experience, and then also I'd like to be an engineer, electrical engineer.
While he does plenty of things that are not so kid-like, it's important to be a kid. It's important to be 12, 13 now. Other things outside of electronics make him happy, so we love that.
Kids, if you look at them, if you give a young kid who has never seen a computer, you give them a tablet, or you give them a smartphone, it becomes intuitive for them to move their fingers around, to look for things. Same thing when kids, the same kids who are used to tablets and all these gadgets, when you see them on television, they actually want TV to move, and the TV don't move, and they don't understand why is it not moving when you are able to do this in a smartphone or in a tablet. Because for them, that's the world they live in. This is not a world of mouse. It's a world of just using your finger, basically, to move things and get into the content that you want. Yes, I agree, Raspberry Pi, communities, townships, young people, villages, schools, primary schools, high schools must have Raspberry Pi as a way of teaching young people computing. The issue is that computing must not be treated as something that should be known. Whether you study humanities, whether you study philosophy, whether you study science, whether you study medicine, the internet and computing and applications should form part and parcel of anything and everything what you do. I mean, this is what we are trying to explain to people in the education system, to people in communities, how they should adopt the internet and how they should adopt technology that drives the internet.
Okay, thank you. Speaking of technology, what are South African ICT companies like Dimension Data, for example, doing to enable technology in education?
We, as you know, for instance, Dimension Data has been involved in education for 15 years now. Yes. I always say that the product that we have developed, which has digital content that you put in a classroom, again, I'll show you in this video, that you put in a classroom that you can connect even if the teacher is not present, right? People can be able to open up and look at the subject and read and be able to understand the course material. It's got lessons, you can see it, and again, we are now working on a mobile app for that we hope we will launch it before the end of the year, so that as a young person, you have your content in your phone, and you can be able to look at lessons at what time of the year you should have covered what lesson. It's very, very important that we should take education into devices. I think the guys that have done extremely well in the world, it's an academy called Khan Academy. These guys have done extremely well. I mean, and you must look at the site, and I think it's something that we should take South African content and customize it and make it almost have the look and feel of Khan Academy, so that, I mean, teaching is something that could be done and seen everywhere. As you know, most universities, most Ivy League universities today, they stream their lectures. You can be able to access them on the internet anywhere in the world. And other people are now learning. I mean, there's Coursera at Stanford and many others coming from different universities. I think the psychology of people understanding the internet is something that we need to teach people. And that young kids must understand that the internet is part and parcel of their lives. You know, whether you talk about women in fashion, a friend of mine has built a platform called Fashion Freaks, which basically, you know, even if you have never been on a runway, all right? I mean, you today can take a photo of yourself, you will be rated basically by others in the world as to your dress up today was good, and it gets rated for that day as to where it pitches. I mean, if, for instance, you dressed up smartly, you end up being in the top 10 in the world. Go and visit fashionfreaks.net, X at the end, not K, Fashion Freaks, and you will see the site. I mean, it's got people, anybody can model, anybody can showcase clothes and be, you know, rated in the world by peers. How you dress up, how you combine colors, how you do things. So internet is something that is changing everything. Now, all this sometimes people would watch it on Fashion TV, but you today can be on Fashion TV yourself, meaning that you can be on Fashion Freaks, load yourself up as to how you are dressed, and people will rate you and show and see exactly how you have dressed. So I'll show you how Fashion Freaks works. You will see it in the site right now.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Many people believe that the future of technology in education will be more cloud-based, device-free, and extremely social. Do you think that this will eliminate the barriers faced by students from disadvantaged backgrounds?
An interesting thing, you know, there's a platform called Social Media Week. They have just published numbers between men and women, all right? It's very interesting that in social media, Facebook, I think, I mean, I'll show you the percentages. Facebook, there's a higher ratio of women on Facebook than men. There's a higher ratio of women on different other platforms, basically. The only one that you find more men than women, can you guess which one is it? It's LinkedIn, right? But Facebook, Twitter, and a whole range of other social media platforms in the world, there are more women in those platforms than men. What it means is that the adoption of technology, of social technology, of social media, is more being adopted by women. Women engage more social media more than men. I think it's something that we need to study and find out why. But as you know, from an engineering point of view, I mean, there are more men who study engineering. So the application of technology today is going to attract more women, in my view, than men. Because why? Technology has been made to be user-friendly. So yes, social media, I think, is going to change the way in which we view technology. I mean, I personally believe that social media is the best platform to use generally as families, as colleagues. I mean, I'm not subscribing that people should not be allowed to use social media. However, companies must adopt social media and find means and ways how they would integrate staff and employees in the way in which they use social media, rather than to say we block people from doing that. And there are now policies that are being developed to say, in your Facebook page, as an employee of Dimension Data, I mean, what is the relationship between your Facebook page and the company? Because you have a business card that's written your name, right? And people, when they Google, they don't Google Dimension Data, they Google your name. And what is supposed to be the relationship between you as an individual on social media and the company, right? These are things that are evolving. Companies are beginning to try and understand this, but it's a subject that we will deal with another time, and I will share with you my views. My views are that, you know, a company can use all its staff and employees to market its product by making people involved in social media as agents of the company, rather than to block people that they cannot tweet, they cannot do anything, you know, but you need to channel the energy of social media to the benefit, or for the benefit of the company that people are part of. I mean, people are in social media groups, either as families or friends or whatever, right? And, you know, there should be, you know, a Facebook platform for employees. I mean, whereby employees talk about general things using Facebook, basically. I mean, we should allow these things. I mean, these technologies are there. They're not going to be pulled back. But the key question is how you use it to benefit. I will, for instance, share with you a company like Vitamin Water. Vitamin Water uses Facebook as a platform, less a website, for instance. I mean, their traffic is more onto Facebook than onto their website. So clearly, what one is saying is that social media basically is the way to go. Other people don't even care to build a website if you have social media presence, because that's where most people are, basically.
Can we go back?